So with Mortal Kombat 12 basically being confirmed to be coming out this year, I'm sure that you've had many conversations with friends or people that you know that are into the game as much as you are, talking about what you want to see in the game. And I've been asked that many times over as well. Today we're going to go over 5 things that I think are the most important going into Mortal Kombat 12, and we're not going to talk about characters and other things. Maybe we'll do that in a future video, but what we are going to talk about are gameplay elements as well as the online experience, and we're going to save what I think is the most important for last. So the first thing that I think is really important are branching combo pathways. You might think to yourself, Gleez, what is that? What does that mean? So what that means is you're able to do combos in many different ways. So different strings will link to many different super moves or special moves, and you're able to get real creative out there with it. I think that one thing that really hindered Mortal Kombat 11 was the lack of creativity. All of the combo pathways are very linear. So you had a character that did X, Y, and Z string, and it led to X, Y, and Z special move, and you could maybe do 1 or 2 different enders depending on what type of launch it was. And it was very scripted. Every character, you knew what they were going to do when you were watching or when you were playing against them. And I think that that kind of hinders the game in a way as far as being fun and creative, and also for the people watching the game, which is a huge part of the community, or the people that watch the game, especially on Twitch and tournaments and other things. For those individuals, it gets rather boring. So I think that having branching combo pathways is going to be really important moving forward in Mortal Kombat 12. So the next thing that needs to be redone is the Wakeup System. Now, I know every Mortal Kombat game is different. They're not all of the same. We might come into Mortal Kombat 12 and it's a completely different brand of fighting game when compared to Mortal Kombat 11. But one thing that really needs to be a focus is having a good wake-up game. And in Mortal Kombat 11, I think that the wake-up game was too powerful for the person that was on the ground. They're able to roll, they're able to wake up with invincibility, they're able to up 2, they're able to hit buttons on wake up, they're able to jump out of wake up. And a lot of that could be alleviated by eliminating some of those invincibility frames on the wake up. So in other fighting games, many times when a character is getting up, there are a few frames where they would have to hold block and they still can't move. So they're in kind of like a stun. If you think about hit stun, it's similar to that. Maybe like 1 or 2 frames where a character will either have to commit to a wake up or block if a person is throwing out a meaty attack. Where in Mortal Kombat, you can literally hold down and your character never even stands fully up. As soon as they are vulnerable, they're able to attack and hit with a button. And it really causes some issues with the wake-up game and gives the person on the ground way too much options, or way too many options, and is very effective for that individual. And I think that needs to be toned down, fixed, or just completely overhauled and scrapped. Speaking of scrapped, we're going to talk about the variation system. Throw it in the trash can. Get rid of it. I don't know, crossover, JR Ryder, East Bay Funk dunk that thing right in the dumpster. Just get rid of it. Give characters the moves that they have and give them all of them. Don't make people decide what moves they're going to take. Make the characters balanced, make them well-rounded, make them creative and fun, and allow them to have a lot of different tools in their arsenal. Make it so people can play characters in different ways. Right? Having a large moveset doesn't necessarily mean that the character is overpowered, but it does give a person variety and allows them to be creative and play the character where you can say, oh, that's Jay Gleez playing that Shang Tsung because of how he's playing it. Or, oh, that's, you know, X, Y, and Z player playing Sub-Zero because that's how he plays Sub-Zero. Right? And there's different ways to play characters, and a well-rounded moveset allows for that. And you can still have balance with a lot of moves as long as it's done right and correctly. And that's going to be on the developer's end, and hopefully they're able to handle that. I think they will be. So number 4 on our list, we have the Breakaway. Another thing, you just want to throw that right in the trash can. Breakaway is terrible. I hate it. It gives the person that just got opened up and lost in neutral a chance to advance and even get a full combo. It's a complete swing of momentum in a fight, and it really caters itself to people that are getting outplayed, and I don't like it. Simply just resetting neutral with a traditional break where both players are maybe just outside of sweep distance from one another, I think that would be the best way to go about a breaker system moving forward in Mortal Kombat 12. So the last thing and most important thing is an online connection filter. Now, the reason why this is so important is because we need to grow the community. The bigger the community grows, the more people that are there, the better the experience online, the more those people are going to stay. Now, NRS has a great netcode, don't get me wrong, one of the best. And that's what makes not having a filter so infuriating. The connections that you get matched with in Mortal Kombat 11 are abysmal, and probably 50% of the time, maybe 40% of the time, just absolutely horrendous. And it really puts a damper on the experience. Many people that I've talked to stop playing online, at least in Combat League and ranked modes, because they just don't want to deal with the terrible connections. Many games have had a connection filter for a decade, maybe more. NRS needs to really get on top of that. It'll keep players around. Also, the more players that you have, Warner Brothers, listen in, the more people you can sell DLC to as well. So not only do the players win, the experience is better, but also you guys would win because more people will be around to purchase more DLC. And I know that's what, the parent company wants to do. I don't think it would take a ton to implement a connection filter. What you need to be able to do is search by region, search by connection strength, and connection type. I think with those three, you'll be good to go. The real main problem with the way that it's done now is that it has an initial ping check or counter, if you will, and it checks the ping to make sure that it's 150 or below. But the way that it inspects the connection apparently doesn't work because it'll be 140 or 130 or 120 and you get into the match and it's 200, 220. Or they're on Wi-Fi and they had a really good connection when it checked for it, so it's at like 90, but you get into the match and it's fluctuating between 300 and 120 back and forth, and the characters are skipping all over the screen, and it's just terrible. So we need to have that connection filter in order to make it a good experience, keep players around, and grow the community. So that's it. Those are my top 5 things that I think are important for Mortal Kombat 12. Leave yours down below. Also, if you want to see a video on the characters that I would like to see, make sure you comment down below and let me know, and I'll be sure to make that video. So as always, I want to thank you guys for checking in. It's Gleez signing out, and continue to game strong.